Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum class. In continuous manner, the citric acid is described over here, and major point of citric acid have discussed in the latest last slide, and here is the overall summary of the citric acid or the tricarboxylic acid cycle. That the pyruvate, which is generated as the result of metabolism of glucose through glycolysis, and after glycolysis the 6 carbon containing glucose unit is converted into pyruvate, which is 3 carbon containing molecule, and pyruvate as it's converted into acetyl CoA, now it becomes the part of tricarboxylic acid cycle or the Krebs cycle, and through the formation of the citrate from the oxaloacetate and acetyl CoA by enzyme citrate synthase, and CoA, you can say CoA part of acetyl CoA is released, and these carbon units are united with one another through the assistance or the catalytic activity of the citrate synthase. And now the citrate, which is the 6 carbon containing molecule, these 2 carbon units are derived from the acetyl CoA, while the rest of the 4 are derived from the oxaloacetate. And citrate, through the dehydration or the removal of the water molecule, it gives the cis aconitate by the action of enzyme aconitase, and the hydroxyl group is removed from here and hydrogen from this carbon. And next step, again, these all reactions are reversible, but this reaction is irreversible, which is shown by the solid line. This reaction is shown by the solid line and in highlighted manner. Therefore, the water molecule, which is again introduced in cis aconitate, it resulted in the formation of isocitrate instead of citrate. Now the hydroxyl group uh, go to the position this carbon instead of central one. Therefore, the name is isocitrate. We have the structure uh, somehow similar but different at only at one carbon to the citrate. And isocitrate is converted into oxalosuccinate by enzyme isocitrate dehydrogenase, and hydrogens are removed. In this way, there is conversion of this hydroxyl group into the carbonyl. Therefore, 2 hydrogens are removed, one from oxygen and second one through from the carbon. And oxalosuccinate is converted into the alpha ketoglutarate, which is a very important intermediate of tricarboxylic acid cycle through the action of isocitrate dehydrogenase. And this reaction has many folds of importance, and there is liberation of carbon dioxide, and this carbonyl functionality is removed from oxalosuccinate. And later on, alpha ketoglutarate is converted into succinyl CoA by the action of alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase enzyme, and therefore there is removal of this. You can say there is a removal of this carboxylic acid functionality in the form of carbon dioxide, and also there is attachment of the CoA part, and therefore there is formation of succinyl CoA. Similarly, succinyl CoA is converted into succinate by the you can say removal of CoA part, and later on succinate dehydrogenase act on succinate to remove 2 hydrogens from these two carbons to give fumarate, and fumarate later on is converted into L-malate. After the you can say there is addition of the water molecule across this double bond, and L-malate again undergo the dehydrogenation or the removal of the hydrogens, or in fact this is the oxidation of the L-malate to give oxaloacetate. And when we will do the count of all the intermediates and the auxiliary molecules like which provide assistant like NAD and FADs, then we will approach at the point that acetyl CoA, which enters in the cycle, it uses three NADs like NAD1, 2, and 3. Three NADs and one FAD, and GDP, an inorganic phosphate group. And similarly, two water molecules are also added up, like one molecule added up here and second one over here, and it resulted in the liberation of the two carbon dioxide molecules, reduced form of NAD, reduced form of FAD into 3:1 ratio, and GTP formation. And there is so we can say overall summary of the citric acid cycle. There is question, is there any need or the requirement of the oxygen by TCA? Then we will see in the whole cycle that there is no direct involvement of the oxygen over here. Then why oxygen is needed by this cycle? Then the answer is very technical, because there is no direct participation of oxygen in the tricarboxylic acid or the Krebs cycle. However, this cycle only operates whenever there is sufficient supply of the oxygen or the conditions are aerobic one. And this condition is definitely, it's very strictly uh, contrast to the glycolysis, which in fact operates in both with oxygen condition like aerobic condition and anaerobic one. And due to the aerobic condition, this is due to the fact that NAD and FAD, which must be uh, gained or which must be acquired in the oxidative form from the FADH and NAD, uh, NADH, because NADH and FADH, which are the reduced form of adenine and nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide and flavin-adenine dinucleotide, they must be go back to their oxidative form. And when they are going to be in their oxidative form, there must be sufficient supply of the oxygen through the electron transport chain in order that these should be these two moieties which are present in the reduced form, they should go in their oxidative form. Therefore, there is requirement for the operation of this cycle can be regenerated in the electron transport chain only in the presence of oxygen, because I have told you many times that none of the metabolic cycle or the reaction is independent one. All of these metabolic reactions or the pathways, they all are linked together. They all are interdependent on one another. Therefore, one cycle is correlated to the other one. The pathway of the one intermediate is correlated or dependent on the other pathways in the multiple times. Therefore, we conclude that there is sufficient supply of the oxygen by the TCA cycle, although oxygen is not directly involved, but there must be oxidation of the reduced form of NAD and FADH2, and this definitely oxidation will occur through the electron transport chain, uh, which uh, which is taking place in the presence of oxygen. Here are the energetics of citric acid cycle. that how many ADPs are generated as the result of the citric acid cycle. Then we know that during the process of oxidation of acetyl CoA, where the citric acid cycle, there is production of four reducing equivalents as 3 NADH and 1 FADH2 are produced, and definitely oxidation of each NADH, it generate 3 ATPs. Therefore, there is need to oxidize 3 NADH by the electron transport chain, and this oxidation is coupled with the oxidative phosphorylation. It means that when NADH or FADH are going to be oxidized through the electron transport chain, there is simultaneously phosphorylation of ADP to give the ATP. It means that the oxidation of NADH and FADH2 is also coupled with, yeah, it's also plus with added with the oxidative phosphorylation reaction, which results in the formation or the generation of ADPs. Therefore, NADs, NADH and FADH2 are resulted in the synthesis of NADs, ADPs. And how many ADPs are generated? 3 into 3. It means that 9 ADPs are generated for um, the oxidation of NADH to NAD, and whereas FADH2 leads to the formation of 2 ADPs, and therefore this 9 plus 2 come out 11, and there is one substrate level phosphorylation, and one ADP is generated from here, and overall there is 12 ATPs. But in the literature, at some places, there are evidences that only 10 ADPs are generated or the produced through the one only molecule of acetyl CoA, which get it entry in the tricarboxylic acid cycle. And here is the complete picture. The three NADs are needed. One FAD is needed, but there is generation of 3 NADH and 1 FADH. 1 NADH oxidation gives the 3 ADP, and similarly 1 FADH2 oxidation into FAD, simple FAD gives the 2 ADPs. Here are some inhibitors of the Krebs cycle, and there are many important enzymes which are responsible for the sequence of the Krebs cycle. And there are three important enzymes of the Krebs cycle which are listed over here, and simultaneously their inhibitors are also shown over here. And like number first enzyme is aconitase, and the inhibitor for this enzyme is fluoroacetate. And what the fluoroacetate will do, it will do the non-competitive inhibition. It means that it inhibits the enzyme, but not competitively with the substrate. And similarly, the alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase, for it, arsenite is the inhibitor which is present, and it's non-competitively compete with the substrate for the binding with the alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase. Whereas in case of third enzyme, which is succinate dehydrogenase, malonate is the inhibitor which inhibit the definitely substrate to bind with the succinate dehydrogenase, but it will do the competition, and this competition is competitive. It means that competition for the active site, whereas these two competitions are non-competitive, means that the inhibitor don't compete with the substrate for the active site, but definitely inhibitor binds to some other side of the enzyme, which is allosteric, you can say, site. Like it's shown over here in this picture. For the competitive inhibition and for non-competitive inhibition, for competitive inhibition, you can see enzyme. The enzyme is shown over here, and the active side of enzyme is shown in the form of, like, it's the cleft. It has the cleft, and this is the second shape, which is shown as the allosteric site. And for active side of the enzyme, the substrate has complementary geometry, stereochemistry, or the shape. And similarly, the inhibitor which is present has the same geometry or the stereochemistry or the shape, just like the substrate. Therefore, substrate definitely not bind with the active side of enzyme. It will remain as such outside the active site, you can say, vicinity, active site area, and active site is blocked or occupied with the inhibitor. And therefore, when the inhibitor bind with the active site of enzyme, there will be no reaction. Similarly, at the back, which we have discussed, the enzyme which compete for the active site, they definitely don't uh, n- they definitely inhibit the enzyme to carry out such reaction, which may be dehydrogenation, which may be carboxylation reaction, and which may be oxidation, and so on. And for the non-competitive, the inhibitor doesn't have the same geometry, stereochemistry, or shape, which is not complementary to the enzyme active site, but it binds to the some other site or the backbone of the enzyme, and through its binding with the backbone or the allosteric site of the enzyme, the shape of the active site is also changed. Therefore, although the inhibitor, which is shown in blue, doesn't bind to the active site, it binds to the backbone of the enzyme, but definitely it has changed the shape of the enzyme in such a way that the substrate is unable to bind with the active site of the enzyme. Therefore, in this way, there is also no reaction because there is changing in the shape of active site of the enzyme. It means that the inhibitor which compete for the active site or which doesn't compete for the active site of enzyme, they also are very, you can say, the dangerous one for the enzyme activity. For the regulation of the citric acid cycle, some enzymes are very important, and these enzymes are: number first is citrate synthase, and citrate synthase is responsible for the conversion of oxaloacetate to the citrate. And by the action of citrate synthase, acetyl CoA and oxaloacetate reacts together to give the citrate. And this citrate synthase is inhibited by the ATP. It means that if ATP is present in its vicinity and ATP is bind with the um, enzyme, and they definitely inhibit the citrate synthase to convert oxaloacetate and acetyl CoA into citrate. And NADH and acetyl CoA and succinyl CoA, these all are inhibitor for the activity of citrate synthase. And the number second enzyme is isocitrate dehydrogenase, which is responsible for the dehydrogenation or the oxidation of the isocitrate synthase. Therefore, by the activity of isocitrate dehydrogenase, two hydrogens are removed uh, the from this carbon, and one from directly, another from the hydroxyl one. Therefore, isocitrate is oxidized to the oxalosuccinate, and this isocitrate dehydrogenase is activated by the ADP, because ADP if is present over here, and NAD is converted to NADH, and for the back conversion NADH must be converted back into NAD through the electron transport chain, and this conversion is uh, you know needed the ADP, you can say, presence, and therefore ATP activate the this enzyme to yes convert more isocitrate into oxalosuccinate, and it is inhibited by the ATP. Definitely, if ATP are present in the large amount, this reaction will not proceed, because this reaction will proceed only if the NAD is converted into its reduced form, and this reduced form then later on gives the ADP generation, and therefore isocitrate dehydrogenase is activated by the presence of ADP, and it's definitely inhibited by the ADP and NADH. Whatsoever NADH is produced over here in this reaction, it must be go back, it must be washed away from this pathway in order to, it must be get into the electron transport chain, and it will revert back to its you can say the it will be revert back to its oxidation, and therefore it's inhibited by the presence of ADP and NADH, and definitely this citrate synthase and isocitrate dehydrogenase, they are responsible for the regulation of the citric acid cycle, that citric acid cycle must be regulated in such a way that oxaloacetate must be go on into the cycle by utilizing the acetyl CoA, which are definitely formed from the pyruvate, which is generated from the glycolysis. And third one enzyme which is responsible for the regulation of the citric acid cycle is alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase, and it's inhibited by the succinyl CoA, and alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase is responsible for the conversion of alpha ketoglutarate into succinyl CoA. It means that if succinyl CoA is present in large amount and it's not going on to the next its product, then it's definitely you will say the inhibit the dehydrogenase enzyme to cause the you can say the decarboxylation of alpha ketoglutarate, and removal of carbon dioxide, and definitely production of large amount of NADH through the multiple cycles, because this cycle is not from the one acetyl CoA. There are hundreds of thousands of acetyl CoA which are present, and this cycle go on for the unlimited time. And the availability of ADP is very important for the citric acid cycle to produce, because we have also discussed the ADP are produced from the you can say the oxidation of reduced form of NAD and FAD. And when NADH and FADH2 are going to be converted back into their oxidized state, there is oxidative phosphorylation, and ADP presence or the availability is very essential to convert back them to ADPs, and convert back to NADH to their oxidized form like NAD, so that they must be utilized again and again through the you can say citric acid cycle. Therefore, sufficient levels of ADP if are available, then the oxidative uh, phosphorylation of ADP to the ADP of NADH and FADH through the electron transport chain is possible. Here is the uh, nature of the citric acid cycle, and nature of citric acid cycle is amphibolic. Amphibolic means the reaction or the cycle which which has the activity both catabolic and anabolic. It means that it's catabolic in a sense that yes, it can break down and it can produce new compounds as well. Therefore, this word is derived from the like amphibian nature of the frog. Amphibian mean which can live on land and which can also survive in water, and therefore Krebs cycle has also the amphibolic nature. Amphibolic means that both catabolic and anabolic nature, and both compounds are, you can say, synthesized are, and also the breakdown or produced into their fragments. And the citric acid cycle provides various intermediates which are useful for the synthesis of other compounds which are needed by the body. And TCA cycle is actively involved in the gluconeogenesis, which is responsible for the conversion of or the production of the glucose from the non carbohydrate source. And the most important synthetic, which is anabolic reaction, and it's connected with the TCA cycle. Next is succinyl CoA is used for the synthesis of porphyrin and heme, and after the continuation, the succinyl CoA is used for the synthesis of porphyrin and heme. It means the succinyl CoA, which is involved in this tricarboxylic acid cycle, it can be used for the other way for the synthesis of porphyrin and heme for the hemoglobin. And mitochondrial citrate is also transported to the cytosol, where it's cleaved to provide acyl CoA for the synthesis of like fatty acids and sterol. It means that now the citrate will, no doubt, it's also the part of citric acid cycle, but it can also be used for the synthesis of fatty acids and sterols. And oxalosis acetate, which is an important intermediate for the TCA, and alpha ketoglutarate as well. They also serves as the precursor or the starting material for the synthesis of aspartate and glutamate, and therefore which in turn are required for the synthesis of other non-essential amino acids and purines and the pyrimidine bases, which are very important for our metabolic system. It means that these all intermediates like succinyl CoA, like acetyl CoA, and oxaloacetate and alpha ketoglutarate, they are no doubt the part of the citric acid cycle, but they can also be made the part of the other, you can say, metabolic system, like synthesis of amino acids, like synthesis of fatty acids, like in the synthesis of the hemoglobin part as well. It means that TCA is an important cycle, and it's definitely has the both nature. It's anabolic and catabolic in nature. Next is anaplerosis or the anaplerotic reaction. It means that such type of the reaction which replenish or fill up the intermediate. It means that if intermediates, citric acid has cycle has number of intermediates, and these intermediates are no doubt converted into and other substrate as well or other product as well, but they also serves as the intermediate for the other pathways or like fatty acid pathway. Therefore there is need to replenish them. Replenish mean to fill up them, to if they are used, then their supply should be made in such a way that if 10 molecules are removed, for example for succinyl CoA, then there should be any system which provide these 10 molecules back. Therefore, this providing of molecule or providing of compound back to the certain pathway is called the replenish or the fill up of intermediate. And these reactions, which are responsible for filling up the intermediates of the citric acid cycle, they are called the anaplerosis or the anaplerotic reactions. And the important pathways that draw the intermediate of TCA and the other anaplerotic reactions, which are responsible filling up the intermediates, they are multiple, and some of them are listed over here, and their salient features are here. That one process or one reaction which is responsible for the replenish or the filling up the intermediate is the pyruvate. Pyruvate carboxylase catalyze the conversion of pyruvate into oxaloacetate. And yes, oxaloacetate is very important intermediate for carrying out the TCA. And this is an ATP dependent reaction. And the carboxylation means carbon dioxide or one carbon unit is added to the pyruvate to give oxaloacetate. And then we will say that the conversion of pyruvate to oxaloacetate by utilizing the energy in the form of ADP and carbon dioxide. Yes, this is the reaction which is responsible for filling up of intermediate of the TCA, because oxaloacetate is one of the intermediate. Similarly, pyruvate is converted to the malate by the NADP and NADP dependent malate dehydrogenase, and this is called the malic enzyme as well. And pyruvate is converted into uh, malate, and malate is, yes, also very important intermediate for carrying out the uh, reactions of TCA. It means that here are this one pyruvate responsible to be converted to oxaloacetate and pyruvate to be converted into malate. These two reactions and this one reaction, which is the transamination and conversion of the glutamate to the alpha ketoglutarate. These reactions are responsible for the filling up of intermediates for the TCA. And transamination reaction is, is the process which is responsible for the transfer of the amino group from the keto acid to the amino acid, or from amino, they can be in any way. An amino acid transfer its amino group to the keto acid, and itself it will convert it to the keto acid. It means that it is interconversion of keto and amino acids. And the formation of alpha ketoglutarate and oxaloacetate occurs by this mechanism. And next is alpha ketoglutarate. It can also be synthesized from the glutamate. And alpha ketoglutarate you have seen in the cycle, it appeared in the cycle, and definitely enzyme glutamate dehydrogenase is responsible for the you can say conversion of glutamate to the alpha ketoglutarate. These all reactions are responsible for filling up of intermediates for the TCA. Here is the elaborated pictures that the reactions which are responsible for the using of intermediate mediates of the citric acid cycle, and the other reactions which are responsible for the replenishing and filling up of intermediates. Like starting from here, acetyl CoA enters in the cycle, reacts with oxaloacetate to give the citrate. And yes, citrate, this citrate can leave the cycle and go for the production of the fatty acid or sterol. Yes, this citrate can also convert it into alpha ketoglutarate. Again, alpha ketoglutarate can leave the cycle and go in the for the production of glutamate. And yes, this glutamate can revert back to the alpha ketoglutarate through the transamination reaction. And alpha ketoglutarate no doubt converts into succinyl CoA, and this succinyl CoA can be the made part of the other system which is responsible for the synthesis of heme. And malate is in fact converted into oxaloacetate, but this malate is responsible for the conversion of pyruvate and pyruvate back to the malate, and these enzymes are called malic enzyme, which are responsible for their interconversion. And oxaloacetate leave as aspartate for the synthesis of amino acids purine and pyrimidine, and it's convert back as oxaloacetate. And no doubt oxaloacetate can also be taken from the or can be synthesized from the pyruvate. And similarly, these all reactions are very important. It means that these are the intermediates like citrate, alpha ketoglutarate, succinyl CoA. These all are intermediate of TCA, and therefore they are responsible for no doubt for the synthesis of other biomolecules. And similarly, some other biomolecules are also responsible for replenishing or the filling up of these intermediates. Next are the energetics of the glucose oxidation. It means that the glucose which we have taken in our food, and it go through the glycolysis, then enters into the Krebs cycle or the citric acid cycle. Then from we can conclude that from one molecule of glucose, which is the 6 carbon containing, it undergoes the glycolysis. And similarly, when glucose is converted into pyruvate, and this 6 carbon yields the 3 carbon containing molecule, and therefore 6 must give the 2 molecules of pyruvate or the lactate, depending on the condition, whether the aerobic one or anaerobic one for the lactate. And therefore the pyruvate is oxidatively, it will decarboxylate it to give the acetyl CoA, and therefore which enters in the citric acid cycle and gets completely oxidized to the carbon dioxide and water. And the overall process of glucose being completely oxidized to carbon dioxide and water from via the process of glycolysis and citric acid cycle is as follows. Here are the energetics of glucose oxidation, in a sense that when a molecule of glucose is burned in the calorimeter, then it gives the or it liberates the 2780 kilojoule of heat. But if the same molecule of glucose is burnt in the living system, then definitely energy is trapped. And how it is trapped? Definitely, it is trapped in the synthesis of ADPs, and 38 ADPs are produced. And these 38 ADPs are equivalent to the 1159 kilojoule of energy. It means that one molecule of glucose gives more energy when it's burned to the calorimeter, but in the living system, it will provide such amount of energy. And for one ADP has energy bond which is equivalent to 30.5 kilojoules. Therefore, we can say that the glucose combustion or the oxidation to in the living system is actually 48% is it's this process is efficient because it's nearly 1159 is half of to 2780, and therefore efficiency is nearly 48%. And therefore about 48% of energy in glucose combustion to yield completely oxidized to carbon dioxide and water is actually captured for the synthesis or the generation of ADPs, and 38 ADPs are generated by this process. This is all about for the TCA cycle. And for assignment, you have to state the name and the reason why you are saying that these processes are amphibolic. I have told you that citric acid cycle is amphibolic, and you have to give the name and state the five other reactions, and you have to state the reason as well why you are saying them amphibolic reactions which are taking place in the metabolic system. You have not state them they are taking place in lab. They must be taking place in the living system. And secondly, you have to brief that what type of diseases are associated with the TCA cycle intermediate. It means that multiple of intermediates, many intermediates are in the TCA cycle, and you have to brief the what type of diseases are associated with the deficiency or accumulation of these intermediate. If there is deficiency of these intermediate, then which type of disease is onset, and if there is accumulation, then a person can be victim of a certain disease. I hope student you will understand lecture very well. You will do hard work and go through the lectures in a very good way. Best wishes and good luck.